A very good morning to you, students. So, once again, I would like to welcome you heartily to our presentation. Dear students, as in my last class, we are learning about the skills, especially that of listening skills. And as it was touched upon in my previous classes, listening skills plays a very vital role in language learning. Listening skill is the most fundamental component of English language. Not only that, it is also an important, essential need for our communication skills. So let us today we are going to continue that particular topic and we are going again great in detail to imbibe or to have this particular skill which is essential for all of us. Prior to that, listening is not something that just happens. Listening is an active process in which a conscious decision is made to listen and understand the messages of the speaker. Listener should remain a neutral, a non-judgmental. This means trying not to take a sides or a form opinions, especially early in the conversation. So that's why this listening plays a vital role in our life itself to communicate with others at the same time using the language in an effective way. And as we all know the importance of this listening skill, and even I asked you in my previous class to be an active listener. So that's why today we are going to learn on this particular topic of active listening. So today's topic as it is titled as active listening. So dear students, one thing you should keep it in mind while we are talking about this active listening, as the word itself tells the meaning of this active listening, it is a skill that can be acquired and developed with the practice only. However, still active listening can be a difficult to master and will therefore take a time and patience to develop. So, as active listening means it is as the name suggests, actively listening, and that is fully concentrating on what is being said rather than just passively hearing the message of the speaker only. So, we would like to make our earnest attempt to learn this active listening skill because this active listening skill is very much essential for the student nowadays. So, dear students, as active listening itself conveys us that it is actively involvement of the person one who listen, and it also requires the listener to be a fully concentrate, understand, respond, and then remember whatever is being said by the speaker. So that's why here in active listening, concentration, understand, respond, as well as remember plays a very crucial role. And that's why we should be very attentive, we should be very concentrate on the things which are said. By the by, even we can try our level best to understand. And once after understanding whatever we have listened, we are bound to respond. And that is what the connection again back to the person, one who speaks, will take place. And whatever is going to happen between the speaker or the listener, it has to be remembered forever. And that is what we are going to learn in active listening. So, active listening is a very much and a must skill for the student, because student, as they are the absorber of a knowledge, and in order to enjoy the rich fruits of the knowledge, we should be a very much active listener in our life. And this particular process has certain dimension and certain steps, certain techniques, and let us learn those techniques which are involving in this process. But before going towards that one, let me show you one video which is released by World Health Organization. You just listen it, and then we will continue this particular topic of active listening.
COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by a new coronavirus introduced to humans for the first time. It is spread from person to person, mainly through the droplets produced when an infected person speaks, coughs, or sneezes. These droplets can land in the mouths or noses of people who are nearby. These droplets are too heavy to travel far in the air. They only travel approximately 1 meter and quickly settle on surfaces. This is the reason person-to-person spread is happening mainly between close contacts. The exact time that the virus can survive on surfaces is not yet known. So it is wise to clean surfaces regularly, particularly in the vicinity of people infected with COVID-19. Hands touch many surfaces, which can be contaminated with the virus. You should therefore avoid touching your eyes, nose, or mouth, since contaminated hands can transfer the virus from the surface to yourself. When coughing or sneezing, cover your mouth and nose with the bend of your elbow or use a disposable tissue. If a tissue is used, discard it immediately into a closed bin. The most effective way to prevent the spread of the new coronavirus is to clean your hands frequently with an alcohol-based hand rub or soap and water. This will eliminate the virus if it is on your hands. Stay healthy and prevent the spread of COVID-19.
So, dear students, I hope you might have got it from this particular clip that whatever we are needed nowadays in order to encounter the COVID-19. And here again, we need our active involvement while listening. Not only we watch this video, at the same time, a lot of important information is passed through this particular clip. And through this clipping, we come to know how to protect ourselves in this pandemic hour in which we are all undergoing. So let me now come back towards our own topic, that is of active listening. So as active listening involves the speaker as well as the listeners, a role plays a very important. And at the same time, the active listening process helps a person to open, okay, it opens the mind and as well as heart. It gives an opportunity to be open of ourselves, and whatever the open thought of the minds are there, that can be expressed, and while we are expressing, even those feelings and emotions should come directly from the heart. So this is what the active listening gives, an avenue to open up our own mind as well as heart. The second one, that is the thing what we can get it from the active listening itself, that it encourages to understand. If anything we want to know, we should able to understand it properly. And that's why active listening process helps us to develop our own understanding. And that is what we are going to be get from this process of active listening. So, not only that, it gives an opportunity to learn a lot in our life, and because of that only, it also called as lifelong learning process. Whatever we will get it from listening, that will be retained forever, and whatever we will retain ourselves, that we may make use of it in a later stage of our life also. So due to that, active listening process is also called as learning process, that is called a lifelong learning process. And whenever we may be caught hold in any kind of a problems, and if you are an active listener, definitely within that process we will get lot of ideas and lot of ways and means to come out from that problem. So hence, if you concentrate to listen properly, sometimes that active listening will also helps us to solve a lot of problems which we are encountering in our day-to-day life. So, in this way, the active listening is going to help a lot, and because of this, our own personality is going to grow. So that's why it enhances and it adds some kind of a fragrance to our own personality. And like this, we may say that even it may help us to grow our own personality. And that's why we may keep it, and we should strive to have this particular skill, which is the need of the hour, to come up in our own life as per our own expectation. So here, this active listening, it gives us a chance to empower ourselves. That means we can face any kind of a situation, and we should be in a condition to overcome any kind of a conflict at all. And it enhances ourselves, and it engages instead of wasting our precious time. Most of the time, whenever we are listening, we are engaging, we are spending the time in a fruitful way. And it also enables to enjoy the life in a constructive way. So, like this, the active listening, it empowers, it enhances, it engages us, and even it enable our lifestyle. And in order to enjoy all those things, we should be very much particular about this active listening skill is concerned. So, let me now go through certain steps which are involved in this due course of active listening process, and we would like to know these steps one by one through this particular picture which is displayed on your screen itself. So, here these are the 7 key active listening skills, and in these 7 key actives, so every part is going to have their own significance. So, first of all, the first stage or the step of active listening is be attentive. So, listening, while we are doing a listening and active listening, we are spending lot of time in listening, and we are spending our precious time itself on the listening. So that's why we should be very much attentive. We should give our complete devotion, dedication, and our time towards the speaker, and we should not have any kind of undivided attention, and we should acknowledge the message which is going to be given by the speaker. And this is what we have to do it in the first stage of active listening. And while we are doing, we should able to maintain our eye contact with the speaker. We should direct ourselves towards the speaker, and we should pay attention towards whatever the speaker said, and put all aside those distracting thoughts which are going to be a building blocks. So if we are able to keep ourselves the mind free from all those barriers, then it's very easy for us to be attentive, and that is what the first stage or the first step of active listening. So after that, we have to move towards the second step, that is, we should ask open-ended question. That means the questioning is very much essential while we are learning active listening skills. So, listeners can be demonstrate that they have been paying attention, asking relevant questions, and making a statements to build and clarify what the speaker had said. By asking a relevant questions to the listener, and helps to reinforce that they have an interest in whatever the speaker is been saying, and that has to be done here in this particular part. So at the same time, while we are going through this one, that ask a probing question, okay, thought provoking question should be asked, open minded question should be preferred, and this has to be done during this third stage of active listening. And fourth stage, where we are going to come across requesting a clarification. So, when a speaker speaks at that time, we need a lot of clarification, and if at all you might have come across any problem, at that time we are bound to get a clarification. So that's why clarifying also involves asking questions of the speaker to ensure that the correct message has been received, and clarification usually involves the use of open question, which enables a speaker to expand on a certain points which are very much necessary. And after that, the next stage, that is the fifth stage, is paraphrasing. That paraphrasing is going to give an opportunity to reflect ourselves that whatever we are able to get it through that particular process of listening. So, reflecting is closely repeating or paraphrasing what the speaker has said in order to show a comprehension. At the same time, reflection is also a powerful skill that can reinforce the message of the speaker and demonstrate the understanding. So, in order to exhibit that understanding, this particular paraphrasing is going to help us. And the next stage is that be attuned to and reflect feelings. So while we are listening, we should be very much under considering each and every emotions, feeling, verbal, non-verbal communication of the speaker, and we should be tuned with the mental setup of a speaker, and we should able to be one with the speaker's feeling, and that what the connection has to be essential here in this stage. And the last and final stage of this active listening itself is summarization. So in this particular stage, we have to repeat the whole summary of what has been said back to the speaker, And it is a technique used by the listener to repeat what has been said in their own words. Summarizing involves taking the main points of the received message and reiterating them in a logical and a clear way. So, in this way, the receiver gives back to the speaker a chance to correct if at all unnecessary. So, in this way, the active listening involves all these processes and which are very much essential, and these factors we have to give prime importance while we are listening. And if we want to be an active listener, we have to follow it meticulously in our day to day learning transaction so that we can learn, so that we can have the grip over on that whatever we can able to get it, that will be a meaningful, a fruitful and a constructive way of a learning that is going to help a lot in our life. So being a student, we should go through all these process. So let me come back towards the strategies which are supposed to be followed in order to become an active listener. So broadly, I would like to categorize those strategies into five subheadings. So those strategies we are going to come one by one and let us through light upon these techniques which are going to help us. The first and foremost strategies or a technique is SLANT technique. A SLANT technique of active listening is nothing but the first word of each and every statement has been picked up, and we have made the SLANT technique. And here in the SLANT technique, we have to ask the student to sit up straight at the first, and even the receiver, in the sense the students, the listener, should sit as close as to the speaker so that they can also have attention, and even the speaker can also have closely watch and be get connect with the learner. The second one, we have to listen with our eyes, ears and heart. Only we should not keep our eyes open just by shutting down our emotions and feelings, shutting down our eyes. That should not be happen. So all these three factors are very very essential. We should keep up open our eyes, ears and heart itself. So during this process, if at all you have come across anything to be get clarified, we should ask a question. And if at all a speaker may ask you questions, at that time we have to bound to answer the question also. So while we are going through that process, we have to occasionally sometimes nod our head to show that we are listening or we are receiving. And that is what the gesture we have to pass through. So here, tracking the speaker with the eyes, it's very easy for the speaker to control the minds of all the listeners, and that listener's mind can be tracked with the eyes of a speaker, and that what we can get it. The second one, that is establishing and following the rules for active listening. So these are some rules which are very much essential in order to establish active listening in our class. So we should be always a face a speaker, maintain Eye to eye contact itself always keeps the transaction in an active form. We should be attentive, engaged ourselves, where our eyes, ears, and heart should be involved. Try to feel and understand whatever that speaker is saying. Don't be interrupt the speaker unnecessarily. Wait until the turn to ask a thoughtful question and comments. Whenever there is a time provided for that, only during that slot we are supposed to ask such kind of a things. Rather, we have to keep our or set our mouth, and that is what we have to do it. And at last, in this particular, while establishing the rules, we have to give back the feedback to the speaker. The feedback should be given to the speaker so that how far that the talk is going to be able to understood or comprehend by that speaker. And that's what the idea the speaker will get it through this particular feedback. Then moving towards the third one, the third strategies. So here in the third strategies, it is nothing but the involvement of practices and the practices of active listening. So active listening practices makes a person more perfect to be active listener. So here always review the listening capabilities. We should know the SWOT analysis of each and every students, and we should review it, and as per that wherever there is a essential necessary inputs can be given for the concerned students. So while we are doing these practices, again there is active involvement of ear, mind, and heart is very essential, and we should always keep on reminding the students to understand it or to pay attention towards the topic, and that is what the intermittent instructions we should able to give back to the learner. So we have to conduct a lot of practice sessions of prepare students' listening skills, because this gives an opportunity for the students to know the importance of a listening skill. And even the volunteer demonstration skills, where the students may ask to tell their feelings, their experience in the form of a story format, should be encouraged. And if we are able to engage our student in this kind of a practice, and definitely that practice makes them a very active listeners. So the fourth step in active listening is nothing but again we have to assign a task to the students, and while we are giving something at that time, don't keep the student in a idle state. Rather, we should assign them to make a note of it. So note taking often eliminates the distraction. So as listeners are focused on the speaker and note taking task at hand, plus, they have their questions and comments ready when the speaker is ready. So that even the speaker, while he was active in a speaking, even the listener, instead of being in a passive, they will also become an active, because already well in advance we assign the task of making a note of that one, and that is what we have to give it clear cut instruction before beginning any topic. So practices of active thinking and listening also essential, so that the listener should be bring more to the discussion. So in this way we have to tap the thinking process of the learner, and when we tap the thinking process, certainly he will bound to think a lot, and whatever he may think, we may ask him to express it so that we can listen his emotions and feelings, and it may lead for the further discussion in the benefit of a learner, at the same time in the well-being of that particular topic which is going to be discussed great in detail. The fifth strategies, which are grouped again into these following skills, which are again a practicing skills, where we have to restate, we have to summarize the things, whatever we have heard or listened, and reflect, a reflection in the form of paraphrasing that has to be done. And the next one, we have to ask a question. While asking the question, we should always keep it in mind that it should be open-ended question and it should be a thought-provoking questions. And while we are practicing all those things, we should make a connection. Okay, we should be get connected each other, whether it's a speaker, whether it's a listener, whether one who transact, one who receive, both are actively connected with each other. And like this, if you practice well, then only we can have active listening, and active listening will make a person to get lot of in-depth knowledge of any of the topic or any of that particular thing that he was learning at that particular moment. So now with these brief description about the active listening, let us move towards to do certain exercises, and these exercises are nothing but listening exercises. And I have took one video clipping, and through that video clipping, we would like to do some kind of a listening exercise. So listen it carefully and try to do it, because it helps you how much you are be an active listener, and that is what the self-assessment we have to do it through this particular video clipping.
You are going to hear the text twice. And then the questions are going to appear. Listen to the text and answer the questions, please. Don't forget to take notes.
Hello, my name is Sandra. I am 8 years old. I am a student. I am from England. Hello, my name is Sandra. I am 8 years old. I am a student. I am from England.
Her name is Sandra. She is 8 years old. Yes, she is. No, she isn't. She is from England.
My father's name is Tom. He is 40 years old. He is a dentist. He is tall. He is handsome. My father's name is Tom. He is 40 years old. He is a dentist. He is tall. He is handsome. His name is Tom. No, he isn't. He is a dentist. No, he isn't.
Yes, he is.
My mother's name is Betty. She is 35 years old. She is a nurse. She is beautiful. My mother's name is Betty. She is 35 years old. She is a nurse. She is beautiful. Her name is Betty.
She is 35. She is a nurse. Yes, she is. No, she isn't.
My brother's name is Mike. He is 15 years old. He is a student. He is hardworking. He is tall. My brother's name is Mike. He is 15 years old. He is a student. He is hardworking. He is tall. His name is Mike.
He is 15. Yes, he is.
No, he isn't. No, he isn't. My sister's name is Linda. She is 1 year old. She is a baby. She is cute. She is short. My sister's name is Linda. She is 1 year old. She is a baby. She is cute. She is short. Her name is Linda.
She is 1 year old. Yes, she is. No, she isn't. Yes, she is.
Please visit and subscribe to my YouTube channel for more exercises and subject explanations.
So, hope so. This listening exercise of Apuran Vaisani might have helped you to know the process of active listening. So now let us enlist the benefits of active learning, and these are some benefits of active learning. So first of all, while discussing the benefits of active listening, it helps to build a deep trust among the speaker as well as a listener. So in this way, it is going to be act as a bridge, and that bridge is none other than the trust, and that trust is a main link which is going to be connect with the speaker as well as listener, and that is what we are going to get benefit. So active listening is also broadens our perspective. Even our process of thinking also going to be changed with the due course of time. So active listening also strengthens our patience. While we are listening anything, we should have more and more patience. If we have the abundance of patience, then only we can able to understand the things which we are getting. And that's why the active listening process, it gives some kind of strength to develop a patience among ourselves. So it makes us approachable. This skill makes the speaker to approach, because while the speaker is speaking, he has to come across lot of questions, whether it's a thought provoking questions, whether it's a yes or no type of open ending questions. Okay, we're avoiding that kind of a yes or no questions. Open ended questions should be accepted, and because of that purpose, the speaker will be in a more approachable way. So it also increases the competency. At the same time, a knowledge of a person is going to be enhanced, and that is what the plus point of this particular skill. So it helps us to detect and solve problems. So as I already enlisted that whenever there is a conflict, whenever we will come across a problem, if we listen peacefully, definitely we may be in a condition to solve that problem. And in this way, it detects that solution and helps us to solve the problem. So active listening is also going to save the precious time, at the same time money also, because unnecessarily sometimes if we can't able to listen carefully, we have to spend a lot of money, and that's why in another way it also helps us to save the money. And these are what the benefits of active listening. So let me come back towards the bad listening habits also, which the man usually used to have. So whenever we are listening, we should not be criticize the speaker. That is what the bad habit. And this bad habit will make the things very much worse. And while we are hearing or listening, we will get overstimulated also. No need or no necessary to express your overflow of powerful feelings. Rather, be in a control ourselves, and that is what, if at all, we express that leads for a stimulation, and that stimulation is not at all essential. Listening only for facts. Again, we are living in this the era of a modern age where the man is being the most selfish. He always thinks in terms of facts, or he may think in terms for his own benefits, and that is what we should try our level best to avoid, and not taking notes or outlining everything. Sometimes, even while we are listening, we waste our precious time simply glancing here and there without giving any attention towards the speaker, then definitely we may not be in a condition to know the things which he is delivered over there. So, tolerating or creating distraction also. Sometimes we will distract the speaker, which is not at all essential. And sometimes, if the speaker is more intolerable, and if you start feeling a toleration, that is also too much sweet, is also sometimes going to be turned into a poison. And that's what we have to learn, that tolerating as well as creating distraction, these also comes under the bad listening habits. Letting the emotional words block the message. So whenever there is a transaction is going on between the speaker and listener, let the feelings and emotion should not play with the subject matter. We should be a very subjective, we should be very much impartial, and we should think as in the form of a third person without involving too much yourselves in that particular topic. And that is what is mentioned over here. Then wasting a time, difference between a speed of speech and speed of thought also, and that what we have to take care, because sometimes within the less time the person has to bound to give more, or within the more time he will give a less. Here what the mismatch between the speed of speech and speed of a thought takes place, and that also we have to try our level best to avoid in the well-being of our listening skills. So dear students, with this let me conclude the today's presentation with recalling the words of Egan Gerard. That Egan Gerard once said, "You do not listen with just with your ears. You listen with your eyes, with your sense of touch. You listen with your mind, your heart, and your imagination. And if you are able to do like that, then definitely that learning, that hearing, that listening is going to a benefit to a lot to the receiver, to the learner, or even to the student as well. So, in this way, a good communicator is a popular, no doubt. A good conversationalist who is well versed in his language is a popular, but at the same time, a good listener even become more popular than that fellow. So talk only if you have something to say, and be an active listener in our life. So with this, we come to an end of our today's presentation, which is titled as Active Listening, and this is Rakesh D.Nadakarni PGT of Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya Nanded, going to express a deep sense of pleasure to spend time with you. And if at all you have any queries, you may ask or you may put it into a box so that we can clarify. So thanks.